Hey guys, what is up? This is the Degenerate Hangout for Tuesday. I don't know if this is going out nationwide or just to our Steam room. I'm a little conflicted about that. So I am not 100% sure, but your Lord and Savior, His Worship, Jesus, is taking care of personal business. So they asked me to sit in and have a chat with you guys. So my sermons are typically shorter. They do not cover the same level of depth as Jesus does because the man is incredible as to how much content he can put out there. So if you guys don't mind, could you do me a favor and just somebody shoot me a quick, I can hear you, we can see your screen, etc. Okay, we're good. All right. So let's pop over to our room. We saw a crazy day today. We saw a day where we had a squeezometer. I think I saw a low reading of around 35, and the action in the SPY today was pretty incredible, right? So we started this day out with a pop, and I know that there were a ton of traders in the room that were pretty excited about this morning move. This is a 5-minute look. I'll go to a little bit further of a look, but we had some crazy moves in here today. We started out with this, where I think a lot of people were getting long past this critical level of 284-ish, and then I think I saw a bunch of people selling, writing puts. I think Lucci was writing puts. I think maybe I saw OT writing some puts, and we were looking good. And then all of a sudden we had the rug pulled, right? And we retraced the entire move, which was nasty. They brought it back up, and they teased us several times here throughout the day before ripping it right back up in our face. So if you got caught over here today and you got caught in this and then you didn't get a piece of this, you're not the only one. That is not easy trading today on the SPY. There were definitely some moves throughout the day in between here where we had some opportunity to get some scalps in, but on a day like today, it's pretty difficult to put yourself in a situation where you are making a stand as to saying this is the absolute bottom, this is the absolute top. Volatility was the same thing. Volatility was kind of all over the board again today. Let's take a look at the VIX. VIX was wild today. VXX was wild today. I think I saw, I'm not sure how many people in the room were trading this today. I heard Jesus call this out today. Now, one of the things you guys may or may not know about me, I am in the room here on this area here called Trading the Post. So Trading the Post is a room where what we do in here is we look for stocks that are beaten up, quality stocks that are beaten up, where we can get into long-term positions and look for opportunities to trade against that long-term position. So we're buying leaps and we're writing against those leaps. We're looking for opportunities to scalp. Today was a day where if you were not on top of your game, you got faked out of your socks on a lot of stuff. And you had tremendous opportunity to get into some things for scalps. Not an easy day to establish long-term positions or long-term swings. So I don't know who caught a piece of this trade today. This was a really nice looking trade. Not my style of trade, just because I'm more of an options trader as opposed to a as an underlying trader. So or I should say as a an underlier. Hang on, somebody's saying they don't have sound. Did you guys can hear? You guys can hear. So if you can't hear, maybe refresh or log out and log back in. And I'm seeing questions from you guys in the GoTo webinar as well as in the room. It's easier for me in the room, but like I said, I'm not sure if we're out there to broadcasting to the globe or if we're just broadcasting to our group in here. So as you guys can kind of take a look here in the members only chat, we've got a lot of stuff going on. You've got a lot of good traders in the members only room who do a lot of different things and trade a lot of different styles. So let's take a look at some of Jesus's top bets. So I would reference you guys back to the members off topic area or the lounge, and then also the market updates where Jesus posts most of these updates. I'm focused on some different things, but throughout the day, you definitely hear things getting called out that can give you opportunity. Like we had this Western Digital. If I kept calling out, and if you take a look at Western Digital on a daily, you can kind of see some of the motivation for why they were trying to pick it up where they did, right? You're in an area where this is, is this the type of candidate that I would potentially look for in a trading the post position? You had a high here of 107, you're down to 49, it's basically cut in half. How's their business look? And our sweepers coming in and they're piling into it. They started piling into it here at 46.38. If you're looking at it from a trade perspective, something you can probably get a trade in on. If you're looking at it for something longer term, it has potential, but you still have some downside risk to it. So our sweeper is important. Kind of just depends on your style and how you use the information that comes in through the room. Apple, we had Apple come in and it was kind of the same setup. And what I looked at this morning and what got everybody excited this morning, I think right off of the get-go, was we had an Amazon sweeper come in. And when that Amazon sweeper came in, we got a nice pop right through here. But then again, they pulled the rug. I think Lucci got caught writing and had to cover. And then we got this move back up here at the end of the day. So in the morning when I came in, my only thinking was I can't afford to put $40 into weekly calls. Where else am I going to go where I can get better size for less capital outlay? And that was here on the Microsoft. And my only thinking on this trade was we're either going to pop and get a little bit of a move, or it's just going to die. So I only was in this Microsoft right from the get-go. I traded these, I think they were 155s from $3.35 or 85 cents to $5, and that was it. That was all I had for that trade. And like I said, it was either it was an all or none. It stalled, it stopped, and that's where I chose to get out. All of the stuff that happened here in the middle of the day was just straight up market manipulation and just jerking us all back and forth. It is not an easy day to trade, not an easy day to trade. But if you did catch some of this stuff at its extremes, you did okay. You had a decent day. Levels on the Dow are crazy. Some of these numbers that I have, sorry for the whip around here. Some of these numbers that I have on the Dow, what I will do is over time, I'll just go in and I will look at, let's say, a daily chart. I'll come in and I'll take a look at a weekly chart over a 5-year time frame, and I'll just look for simple areas where I see some of these wicks, right? So any of these wicks that you guys see on a weekly basis, some of these wicks that you're seeing are just simple areas where either stops have been run or it's just an area of natural support and resistance. And lo and behold, I drew some of the, like this flat line was drawn a long time ago on Microsoft, and it's at 233. I mean, to me, it seems pretty ironic that it starts to line up pretty close to the 200 where Microsoft tagged today. So, those are types of things that we're looking for as far as, is this an appropriate place to jump in? Can I pull a trade off at this level? Can I pull a trade off at this area? That's a decent spot, right? And all it takes is a little bit of effort from you in off time to just go back in time and look left, right? If you look left, not left, right, look left. If you look left, you can find areas of support and resistance. Stocks will frequently come back to those areas of support and resistance. It's a very simple way of taking a look when things are crazy and to say, hey, is this an area? Is this a spot where in the past it came to and it supported or it resisted? Sometimes it doesn't take anything more than just taking a look at that, okay? And you can see here, if I go back out to a daily, and this was an area that I had identified as an area of support. And that was, you know, it pretty much bounced right off of the line. So it's not magic. It is just paying attention and taking a look. And then obviously when you get to that area, what do? We come back into the steam room and take a look. Well, hey, where's our squeezometer at? If our squeezometer is down here and I've got a Microsoft or the Dow sitting at an area of support and resistance, and I've got a nice low squeezometer, and all of a sudden I start to see some activity showing up, whether it's in the form of calls or somebody's writing puts, that gives me a clue, that gives me an indication of, hey, the stock that I really like and love to trade is at an area where I can take advantage of it. So those are the things that I look for. The way that Jesus trades, the way that Lucci trades, the way that a lot of these guys in the room trade, like Paolo and Warrior Eddie and OT options trader, you know, these are all great traders. And if you can trade, if your style matches and trades with those guys, that's, you know, that's a great thing. But those are some of the things that I look for and how I will trade some of the activity that we see in the room. Now, here's another one that we took a look at is these VXX guys came in yesterday or the day before as well. And they are scooping up March 27, 25. So I think they were in here hitting Mays. I did, some of these days blend together with all of this activity. So they were hitting some Mays and they were the May 15 strike and they paid 20 cents or something like that. That's where I think I grabbed some too. Just a lotto to tuck away because, you know, what's going to happen over time? You know, somebody's going to step in. Somebody in leadership is going to step in. The Fed's going to step in. Some kind of economic stimulus is going to step in. We're going to start to see at some point a slowdown, hopefully, in the spread of the coronavirus. And, you know, it's hard to time a top and to time a bottom. But if you come in, again, in areas and levels where it makes sense, you see something spiking up, you want to buy it and tuck it away, nothing wrong with doing that. So that is kind of a quick synopsis of what I saw and what I traded today. Like I said, I use all of the things that are available to me. And typically when I start out a day, if I start out a day, I typically start out with a SPY, right? And I will just go back and I'll remind myself, hey, where are we and where have we been? So I know this chart's pretty busy. All of these lines that zip across here, these again are simply just areas of that I've decided are areas of support and resistance. And you can see here that the SPY has tagged some of those areas or very close to some of those areas of support and resistance. So when I see a sea change in sentiment, etc., I have to just come back here and say, where are we at? This is a 5-year weekly candle. Okay, now let me take a look on a daily basis. Here it is on a daily view. Am I at some of those areas of support and resistance? What does it look like on a closer time frame for me? Is it actionable for me throughout the day? All right, well, let's take a look at a 4-hour. So I start to decrease and compress the time frames. What am I close to? Am I close to some areas where I should be watching some tape? Probably. Look at how SPY came right up to the 8 EMA on the 4-hour chart. That is of interest to me as a level. Can I zoom in a little closer? 1-hour chart, same type of thing. Do I have anything actionable here in a 1-hour chart? If I'm looking to day trade or to scalp, I don't know if that's going to work for me. Let's take a look at a 15-minute chart. Now I start to see some things that are a little bit more actionable for me, right? I know I'm inside of a band here where I've put down some routes as far as support and resistance levels? Am I at a place where, okay, if I look left, I'm at a spot, I see it stops here, it stops here, it stops here. That gives me an indication as to, hey, can I make a trade? Now, look at this little ramp up into the close. Does that look like something that could work in the after hours, or can I set myself up for something that would potentially pop or decrease the next day? Well, here's the ES. Here's how it's trading right now. So they're still holding it up right now. My suspicion would be that they take it down because they love to take it down in the after hours. They love to run this stuff up or run it down at the end of the day, only to take it away from you overnight. So those are some of the things that we pay attention to and that we look at, and how somebody else besides Jesus approaches the markets and looks for trades. So with that said, I can open the floor up for you guys for a few minutes and see if you guys have any questions or comments that you want to throw at me. And if you don't, that's cool too, but let me know. All right, let's see, here we go. Let's see, what's the blue stairway study on your chart? Okay, so let me just give you guys a little history on my chart, so I can go over that real quick for you. I try to keep things as simple as possible. I like visual clues and then going to the tape. So for example, this SPY chart, let me go to a daily here on the SPY chart. The daily, the way I have it set up is like this. So I've got my 50, my simple moving averages, I use the 200, which is the red line right here. At the 50 is the blue line. I also use the 8 EMA. I use the 21-day EMA, and I use the 113. All of these green lines that are running horizontal, including this blue one, are simply areas of support and resistance. Like this green line that you see right here, this was simply me just trying to identify a trend line. Is there a trend line that it comes and touches up on? How reliable is it? I play around with that stuff and I change it a lot. And I do that with these support and resistance lines too. But just so you guys know, those are the areas that I look at. I find a lot of times that stocks like to come up and play around with the 8 EMA. I also notice a lot, like when you have a crossover, like right here, you had a crossover of the 8 EMA with the 21-day EMA, right? And then what happened? You got a drop. Well, you know, you can see similar activity back here where the 8 EMA crosses above the 21-day, and we had a nice rally. So, you know, it's just looking for simple clues like that, and that's what those lines on that chart represent. So let me get this. What else we got here? We got, do I think that this is just a news rally? Here's my conspiracy theory. I think algos are programmed at certain levels to fire, and I think that algos a lot of times precede news. So who's pulling the lever? I don't know. So which one comes first, right? I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that when I see programs, I notice that a lot of times shortly thereafter, you get news, or you'll get news and then you have maybe 30 seconds or a minute to act, and then you get some type of a move. A lot of times that's specific to a stock. Sometimes you know, like Boeing is a good example of, hey, all of a sudden a headline showed up like, oh, a Boeing plane skidded off a runway, right? Well, you've got a short window of time to trade that move, and then all of a sudden you start seeing activity at a different level, and you're like, okay, something else is up. And then all of this activity comes in, and then boom, you get an algo, and then a headline that says, oh, the FAA says the MAX might fly again soon, and the stock runs 30 points, right? So you see a lot of that, and it's just observation and trying to put some of those together. And you know, as a trader, I'm skeptical of most things, and I'm skeptical of most moves and the news that goes with it and how we could potentially be manipulated. And that's kind of, you know, what it all comes back to as a trader is, can you find something that is of value to you, and can you find something that is actionable to you at that moment in the day? So I know that's a little roundabout answer to your question, but I you know, I fall a little bit more on the I think stuff is being manipulated here side, as opposed to, hey, the news is gospel. MAs. So I'm being asked, what MAs are you using? Classic 20, 50, 100. So did you catch my explanation of the moving averages? I use the 50 and the 200 as the simple moving averages, and then the exponential moving averages, I use the 8, the 21, the 113. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff. And I look for changes in tape when we get to those areas. And if I've got something actionable and it lines up with other things that are to my left on a chart that look like areas of support and or resistance, then I have something that I can use to make a trade. Let's see, when ES gets taken the other way during after hours, isn't the volume low enough for it not to matter or bat an eye at? Sometimes, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes, you know, you'll get that gap, and like it's not reliable, and you're right about the volume not being enough for it to matter, but there are people that do trade the after hours, and there are gaps that we get in the morning that typically or sometimes will get taken care of simply just from price movement back and forth while we're asleep. And yeah, the volume is low enough, but I don't think that it can be totally disregarded. And there are plenty of moves that if you don't take something overnight, you don't get a piece of. But the danger in taking it overnight is that it could go the other way and you get completely hit over the head. That's what makes this game so difficult to play. So if you want to carry on and trade in the after hours on the ES, you can do it. And there's plenty of guys in the Steam room that will go after hours and play around with ES. And I've seen some guys make some really nice trades because you know that the complete manipulation is coming and they're able to take advantage of it. Let's see what else we got in here. Chicken or the egg? Timmy, I think to answer that question, tequila is required. Let's see, does sweeper flow from Wall Street, Jesus, play a big role in decision process to put on a trade? I try to look for opportunities before sweepers show up. And if I'm there and sweepers show up, I'm typically looking for an opportunity to catch whatever that move is and shut it down. It's not an easy game, and I'm not in there like trying to beat somebody to a spot, but what I am trying to do is identify an area where they may or may not show up, and I'm trying to see if it's actionable. And you know, I would say that we catch those maybe 20 or 30% of the time, but when you catch them, they're great. They work great. So sometimes you can get them, sometimes you can't. It's not always a set game. Okay. So, okay, next question here is, so am I writing more conservatively with a little time frame in environments like these? I can only day trade rights in these ranges. If, you know, so it all comes back to, again, what your style and what your comfort level is. It is difficult to trade in these markets right now, there's no doubt. Writing in this environment, if you're at the extremes of a move, can be quite rewarding because the implied volatility in the options right now are so pumped up, they're so jacked up. If you get the right correct, you'll do very well. The downside or the danger in a market like this is if you get the wrong way, you're going to feel extreme discomfort, and it can. And as you've seen with the huge swings, if this is a huge downturn, you can see something that will, you know, that will ruin your week, if not your month and your year. So you have to write with common sense and give yourself the best probability setups when you write. Otherwise, you do run the risk of putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have to cough up a bunch of money that you didn't want to part with. With such a big move down, high vol, do you still use this as an opportunity to establish lead positions in the names of interest with the juiced up call premiums? Okay, great question. So I'm constantly looking for, and I'm currently looking for, as high of quality names as I can find for long-term positions. So what does that mean? That would mean like an Amazon, or it would mean a Google. And you know, if you're interested in getting into more of the detail and the guts of that, you know, I am running this service that is going to turn into a subscription, Trading the Post. We go into a lot of detail about how to choose the candidate, how to look at the options, how do we write them, what things are important to us when we're establishing those positions, and you know, things like what delta are we going to take on this leap. So you know, if you're interested in that, there's more detail that we can give to you, but it's hard to do in a forum like this. Let me see what else we got. Let's see. What do I think about SPY 256 bottom monthly Bollinger Band? So Bollinger Bands are something that I don't follow because it adds another layer of complexity. And like I said, I try to keep things as simple as possible for me. And if you use Bollinger Bands and they work for you, then you know, that's not bad. What I can tell you, like on this SPY, you know, over a long period of time, what I've kind of established as areas of support and resistance, like to me, if we were to really get pasted, this red box is, to me, would at around, let's just call it 213, that area would be of extreme importance to me. And that is where I would feel comfortable putting a lot of money to work. But 256, I'm not good at just picking targets and saying this is where we're going to go. Do I think 256 is possible? Of course. Do I think 271 is possible? And do I think that that gets taken out? I think that there is a decent probability of that happening, even on a day that recovers like today. I don't know that for sure. This could be a bottom. The bottom could be in. I don't know that yet. Do I still think that there's extreme volatility and that we could swing back down here? I think we could, but I don't know it for sure. And that's why we come in here every day and look for it. Let's see. Set monthly price for the room. So go to the website, because I don't know the prices off of the top of my head. So if you go to wallstreetjesus.com, you can click the down window here. You've got the products, the master course, which is Lucci's 2-week course, which goes into detail about the steam room, options, trading, psychology. My Trading the Post course is a part of the master course. There's a couple of nights of psychology training, not only with Lucci, but another instructor as well. And then we've got Wise Guys Revealed, the steam room private Twitter feed. So if you're looking for what's available and you know what pricing is on that, this is the place to come. Okay, so wallstreetjesus.com. And oh, you mean my room? So my room is now. That's a good question. We're establishing that right now. Charlie's coming up with pricing. So if you're interested and you're already a part of the community, or even if you're not, I think that what's going to happen is that's going to get added into the Wall Street Jesus products line as well. So if you're just interested in the Trading the Post room, I think that will be an option for you as well. So stay tuned for that. I know that it's being worked on as we speak. Let's see. Okay, so this question is best strategies or ideas on playing the 3 to 4% daily swings on SPY, etc. while holding positions overnight. Been selling spreads near the high of the day, 0 for 1 days until expiration. Shoot for 1-to-1 odds as mentioned moments ago. Love to hear your thoughts. So again, coming back to you know, the SPY, like kind of what I just iterated to you guys is that I like to, and I try to keep it as simple as possible. And what does that mean? It means I start with that weekly chart. I boil it down to a daily. I'll bring it down to a 4-hour. I'll bring it down to a 15-minute and a 5-minute. And then what I'll do is I'll just start, you know, I'll just start looking left. Okay, so like I know that this green line in my head represents an area of support and resistance that I've identified. Throughout the day, I'm looking for areas of extreme to trade. Now, the stuff that happens in the middle is a lot of start and stop. It's a lot of test. Did I get it right? No, I didn't. Take it off. Start. Did I get it right? Yes, I did. Okay, leave it on. There's a lot of back and forth that happens in here before you get a move like this or before you get a move like this. They're not always easy to catch. And if you trade 3 or 4 times a day and you catch 1 or 2 of the moves, you've done very well. And if you have 1 or 2 moves in between here where you take a loss of, you know, a couple of $100, but at the end of the day you walk away up, you know, $3 grand or $4 grand, you've had a really good day. And that's the hard part of what we do as traders, is to find those areas where you hit a nerve. And on days like today, when you have such extreme volatility and market moves, you know, you can do well. You can also get it wrong every single time. I mean, I know guys that struggle, and even I do on certain days where I'm just wrong when it comes to where I think the extreme target is. Most times it can be cured by looking left and looking for those areas where it makes sense for the price to either start or take off. But you know, something like this, pretty tough. Pretty tough. You kind of had to hold. You kind of had to take a look over here and make a decision. Am I going to break through here, or am I going to pull back? And you know, they gave you a head fake here. They gave you a real nasty head fake right here, and then they hammered you again, right? A lot of times in this market, what happens is you'll reach an area and you'll get a flush. Like look at over here. We kind of had a spot. It hit it a couple of times, and on the second time when it hit it, the flush was real. This time when they did it, it was a fake out, and they took your money and then they ran it up higher. So it's a difficult game. And if you're playing weeklies, you're playing SPY, even the Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, you just got to expect that there are going to be days and there are going to be times where you're just gonna cough up $300-$500, but when you get it right, you're gonna put 4, 5, 6 grand in your pocket. So that's the nature of how that game goes. All right, so it is about 10 minutes till, and if you guys have any more questions, hit me up. But if you don't, I will wrap it up here and say thank you to all you guys jumping in here. And remember, just head back out to wallstreetjesus.com. And Jesus, I hope, will be back next week. He should be around for the Futures and Flow on Sunday, if you are a member. And I can't remember where we're at as far as if this is a monthly or if this is a members only webinar that's coming up this Sunday. So, all right, you guys, thanks for stopping by, and continued good luck with your trades, and hope to see you guys in the main chat. All right, y'all, have a great day.